Okay, so we just finished week 17, and I guess we're almost at the playoffs, because honestly, a lot of these games weren't that great, but some stuff did happen, and we're still going over all of them, so let's get right into it. Christmas Day football is apparently just a thing now. Get used to it, y'all, because it is here to stay. Old Rodgers' pockets aren't nearly fat enough, and what better team to rake in the end than the Kansas City Chiefs? And this game was actually another Chiefs blowout. The Steelers came out, got smashed in the face with a jackhammer, and could not get up. Literally, this entire game was defined by way too many turnovers from Pittsburgh. It felt like George Pickens was on the edge of completely crashing out for like 3 hours straight, but man, it's so crazy how narratives change, isn't it? A few weeks ago, it was Russell Wilson is making the Steelers contenders, and Mike Tomlin is the best coach in football, and now Steelers Reddit is in shambles once again. Russ needs to retire, Mike Tomlin needs to be fired, Najee Harris needs to be benched, and the defense is pathetic. And you know, they might be at least somewhat right about some of those things. Injuries have been rough on defense, but this is a Steelers team that hasn't beaten a team with a winning record in 7 weeks. So yeah, the Chiefs win again. And if Carson Wentz can pull it off next week, the Chiefs can become the second team in NFL history to win 16 games. How? Wow. Who saw this coming? Okay, this game wasn't even close. Houston's defense was the only thing keeping them in the game for the first half for like the 18th time this year. It's every game with them. CJ Stroud has been awful this season. I'm done sugarcoating it, okay? I don't want to give him any props anymore. Yes, okay, yes, he has a bad O-line, but failing to produce should still fall on the quarterback to a large extent. We know the talent's there, though, which is why it's so frustrating to see the terrible coordination and the O-line play being as bad as it is, but Stroud himself is also holding his own potential back. Also, at the same time, though, I'm feeling like he's closer to, like, Brock Purdy's potential than Patrick Mahomes, and that's not a terrible thing, I guess, but even just this year alone, he hasn't even been better than guys like Derek Carr and Jameis Winston. But for Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's MVP case is still very much alive. The guy continues to ball out of his mind, and scarily, the Ravens' defense is also getting better. Since October, their defense has allowed over 24 points only once, and they won that game. So, I don't know. Do not be surprised if this Ravens team just straight up wins the Super Bowl. They just gutted the Texans, and that was with Derrick Henry giving the Texans more points than CJ Stroud did. They're built for big games, and if their stars continue to show out, they are not going to be easy to take down in the playoffs.
You blew it, boy! You really blew it!
I honestly forgot this game happened. Luckily, I didn't watch the first half of this game live, but unluckily, this is my job, so I had to go back and watch it, which was... I don't know why I did that. I really don't, but I don't know. What can I possibly tell you about this game? This might have been the worst game of the entire season. With Seattle's season on the line, they had their worst game of the year, but luckily, they were playing the Chicago Football Bears, and the Bears can't play football, so, you know, there's that. And the Bears' O-line was just getting manhandled. Caleb couldn't sit in the pocket for more than a second, but still, the Bears had the win in the bag. But even with all the things that have happened this year, this might be the most Bears sequence all year. It was 4th and inches. The Bears then got a false start, which is, you know, pretty funny, but then they brought out the punt team. Okay, I guess. I don't know why they didn't do that originally. And then the Bears decided to take a timeout and then brought the offense back on the field. Thomas, my man, what are you smoking, brother? But it still worked. Caleb Williams made magic happen, but he couldn't pull it out in the end, as the Seahawks got a pick and are still alive. But, like, come on. Who the hell cares if the Seahawks make the playoffs? This team ain't it. Ugh, Saturday football again? Damn it, man. Why do I need Chargers Patriots on my TV at 10 a.m.? Drake May and Christian Gonzalez got injured, and the game ended right then and there. Yes, Drake May came back, but the Chargers could not be stopped, because the Patriots are still the least talented team in football. Drake May is going to get killed out there if this team doesn't do something about it for next season. I'm starting to wonder if it was even worth it to play him this season. The dude has had way too many injury scares, and he has just taken a lot of hits, so I don't know. Yes, he's getting the experience he needs in the actual game, but it's just dangerous being out there behind an O-line like that. And on the other side of the ball, the Patriots' defensive line got absolutely bulldozed. Herbert barely had a finger laid on him all game, and the Chargers are now in the playoffs. Woohoo! Yeah, but I don't know, man. It is going to take a miracle for them to challenge the Bills, Chiefs, or Ravens.
I can't believe that there are people that would do something like this. It's so sick and twisted.
So I just made my Bengals video a few days ago, and I started working on that video like over a month ago. So at that point, I thought the Bengals were just easily eliminated from the playoffs. But I'll give it to them. They've fought back and have me sweating. And now they got to this point. They made this game versus Denver matter. But maybe, just maybe, this game was an entire microcosm for the whole Bengals season. Think about it. They started off slow, like really slow, in real life, in the actual beginning of the season, and in this game, because since he had 2 failed fourth downs, Jamar dropped a touchdown, and eventually, though, they figured things out. They kind of revolved their entire game plan around just forcing the ball to whoever Riley Moss was guarding, and for most of the game, it was T. Higgins, who was absolutely eating his lunch all game long. But when Higgins fumbled, the Bengals were right back into feeling hopeless. This was their Ravens Thursday game from earlier. They tried, but it just wasn't enough. However, hope was back, and his name was Joe Burrow. He brought the offense right into scoring position, and a touchdown looked to end it for the Bengals, but we are not done yet. Bo Nix, who was definitely having an up-and-down game at best, threw up a prayer to Marvin Mims, the 5'11" Marvin Mims, who mossed the hell out of 2 Cincinnati defenders. What the hell? Okay. Everyone calm down. Everybody calm down. The Bengals won the coin toss, okay? Joe Burrow is going to get the ball, and he's got a chance to decide the Bengals' fate himself, which he couldn't do. Oh, God. Joe Burrow made a mistake, and now the Bengals had to give the ball back to Denver, but after a stop? That's a thing? All right, whatever. We'll take it. Cincinnati kind of just outplayed Denver, so... Can you just be normal? For like 3 minutes, Cincinnati? Holy Lord, why are you like this? But okay, the scriptwriters, for some reason, decided to be a little quirky this week and subvert expectations. And the Broncos' offensive slump kept going, and T. Higgins put the dagger in Denver's heart, and the Bengals are in it, and are clearly good enough to be a playoff team for sure. It's just, the question now is whether they will actually get in, and that is still very, very, very much in the air. And all the Bengals' playoff chances are now all up to Carson Wentz and the Chiefs. It's just so funny still. The Rams and Seahawks, with their seasons on the line, both came up with nothing against bad teams. Like, how did the Niners not make the playoffs? These teams are ass. Still, though, a team like the Rams is still dangerous on paper in the playoffs, not only because of the players, like I said last week, but also because of the fact that the Rams have basically been in playoff mode for like a month. Every game has been a must-win for a while. So, in this game, though, the Rams just came out and played like who they are. They started out slow as always and eventually got things going, but just, they can't beat good teams this way. You just can't in general, and both of those two things, along with their overall inconsistency, is why, for me, the Rams are just not going to be able to take it all. And the Cardinals also had a chance from the dead to steal this game from the Rams and shatter their spirit. Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride made things happen, but Kyler had a pass go just off of the hands of McBride, and an incredible pick by Witherspoon has the Rams alive. It was a win, but a sweaty win, and they definitely should not have won this game. Feel lucky that you still have a chance, Rams fans. I mean, come the f*** on, Indy. Again? 3 times. I'm sick of it. It's not even entertaining anymore. Who remembers the Carson Wentz Jacksonville tragedy of 21 or the Tyler Goodson comedy of 23? Because I do, and we're back again. Playoff spot on the line versus the worst team in professional sports, and they got 45 points dropped on their dome by horse lock. 45 points by the New York Giants. How is that even... Drew Lock had a perfect passer rating, damn near. He was amazing for most of this game, and he finished with 5 touchdowns. I can't do this anymore. I just cannot. Joe Flacco was playing this week because thick RG3 got hurt, and he wasn't bad, but he couldn't keep up. The Giants just could not be stopped on offense. Like, you can't really throw shots at the offense. They punted once all game. That should be enough to beat the worst team in football, but it just wasn't. The Giants kept going down the field, and the Colts are now officially eliminated from the playoffs, which, I mean, come on, they weren't going to make it, but still, it's funny, and the Giants decided to ruin their tank just a little bit too late, you know. Now all of a sudden, everyone might be trying to trade up for that Patriots pick and grab themselves a franchise quarterback. I wonder who could do that. And yeah, that was literally the only close game for all of the early Sunday slate that actually mattered. After last week, I expected the Cowboys to be able to put up something resembling a fight, but that didn't happen at all. Kenny Pickett actually looked pretty okay in this game. That's how badly the Cowboys played, but you know, after that second awful Cooper Rush pick, the game was over, and the Eagles have clinched the division, and Saquon Barkley is over 2,000 yards, which means tough luck for Washington, because they pretty much have nothing to play for anymore, even with that loss, which sucks, but Philly really is just that good, I guess.
Oh, fuck you, fuck you.
Amir Abdullah should stand trial for war crimes and treason. 100 fucking yards? Great. I just fucking love to see it, boys. I'm so fucking glad we found a way to fucking rally to end this fucking miserable season. Great job, boys. You beat Spencer Rattler. Awesome. I'll take the metal pipe that's been in my ass all year long out and just start dancing through the streets celebrating this monster win for the fate of our fucking team. Fuck you. Fuck this. I'm not saying anything else about this game. See you next week.
15-10, and he scores.
I smell the shootout on the horizon. Obviously, the last time these two teams played, it happened, but I was wrong. It didn't happen. The Panthers looked like they could keep up early on because the Bucs defense ain't all that, but Baker Mayfield decided to go absolutely nuclear. Damn near 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and almost a perfect passer rating. My goodness. Baker has like 3 of the 10 best games played by quarterbacks all year, and if he does this in the playoffs, who knows what can happen. But for the Panthers, we do need to talk about this. What the hell do they actually do with Bryce Young? I've said it before, but let's say that the Panthers end up with like the 6th overall pick in the draft, right? Okay. In that situation, I do firmly believe if somehow Shadar Sanders or Cam Ward falls to Carolina, they should take them. But otherwise, Bryce Young, I think, has still earned the ability to keep this job. He's not generational, though, which is unfortunate, but he might be a worse Kyler Murray type player, which has value in this league. So maybe looking into an O-lineman or a special receiving prospect could be the move, but who knows? Maybe they'll just trade Bryce Young for like a 4th and sign Sam Darnold for the memes.
They think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows.
Hey, there we go. Aaron Rodgers had a bad game. You'll love to see it, right? I don't know, man. I think it's kind of hilarious how everything bad that happens to the Jets at this point, like when they failed on a 4th down or when they threw a pick, the commentators are just like, yep, that's the Jets for you. And they're right. There's just nothing left to say with this team. They suck. And the Bills don't. And absolutely ransacked the Jets until Tyrod Taylor was put into the game and Mitchell Trubisky. But now things are going to get interesting because Josh Allen is pretty much confirmed to be resting next game, so maybe that could hurt his MVP case. Only time will tell, though. Welcome to a tank bowl of incredible proportions. Absolutely nobody should give a flying fuck about this game, besides Titan fans and Jags fans, who honestly should be rooting for a loss, and it's not very close. But yeah, I mean, it's week 17. What else do you want me to say? We're gonna get Mac Jones versus Mason Rudolph games. That's just gonna happen. And this game was so boring. It was so boring. The Jags took control early and held on after another ferocious comeback attempt by Mason Rudolph and almost sabotaged their tank. But, you know, the Jags took another win, which isn't great for them, but I guess at this point, things are getting spicy though. The tank war is intense. Finally, a football game that actually matters and could actually be fun. This was basically a playoff game, and the Vikings kinda dominated. The Packers got back into it at the last second, but this was a masterclass by the Vikings defense for the most part. Brian Flores had Jordan Love perplexed, and like everyone's been saying, this game was set up to be the contest that gives the Vikings respect around the league, and I mean, I guess it is. I don't know. My personal opinion has been the same of the Vikings for a while now. They have a solid QB, a top 3 coach, a top 3 defense, and a top 1 wide receiver. And I don't know. I'm just not betting against that unless they play exactly like the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. But even that game will be close. The Vikings just can't be blown out. I don't believe it's possible. But the Vikings just did enough and held on to win the game. And if Detroit does somehow fumble their season, the Vikings can still grab the number 1 seed in the NFC. This is the most Week 17 matchup possible. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a celebrated tank commander that will be remembered in Cleveland history forever, versus the elite Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley. Are we serious? Who is also technically somehow fighting for a playoff spot too. And this game was just... why? It was somehow more entertaining than I thought it would be, and it was still a 0 out of 10 game. And if Tua isn't back next week, because the Dolphins did win this game, there's not a 0% chance that we get more Snoop Huntley playoff football. Please, no.
I love you, and I miss you.
Well, this was just a fun one, honestly. There's not really much else to say. We got Michael Penix versus Jayden Daniels on Sunday Night Football. Just a good little, maybe, foreshadowing for what the rest of the NFC could look like for 5+ years or something, because both of these players look pretty good. Michael Penix made a few amount of mistakes, but a lot of it seemed like a chemistry thing, so I'm not really worried with him. And he is showing flashes still, and while Jayden Daniels has been amazing still, you know, we still have to give him some credit. The dude just continues to absolutely ball, and the Falcons were just getting run over by Cliff Kingsbury. It was a thing of beauty, but eventually they battled back and were able to steal this game, and they probably should have, but it just didn't work out. They had a horrible clock management sequence that really ruined things, and then missed the kick because Atlanta Falcons, but luckily the Commanders did the best thing that you can do in football in overtime and got lucky. They won the coin toss, went right down the field, and Jayden Daniels just carried me to a fantasy chip, so what a game. Well, I didn't expect this game to be very fun. I think any other team would probably have rested their starters. It's honestly close, but Dan Campbell doesn't do that. Even though last year he didn't learn from getting Sam Laporta hurt, it's the Lions' way, which honestly I can't really argue with. It's a culture thing, and there's no real right or wrong answer as to whether to play your starters in a meaningless game, but for this one, I would have played the players, especially because it was against the 49ers, and they needed revenge, which they ended up getting. It didn't look like it was going to be like that early on, because the Niners had 3 touchdowns on 3 drives, but eventually the Lions started to just honestly be too unstoppable on offense. It's just... I want Ben Johnson, man. I want him to be our coach so badly. The dude he just has an answer for everything. I don't know what else to say. The man is amazing, and... finally, late in the game, the Lions were able to pull away because Jake Moody is just not going to be employed next year. They had great field position, and Jahmyr Gibbs got a touchdown to end it, and also Brock Purdy got hurt because why not? Let's just throw in one more punch. The 49ers need more while they're still on the floor. But before we go, you know what time it is. It's time for the Tubfrog Discord Awards, where I turn to you, the people, to see what you thought were the best and worst plays and players from Week 17. And without further ado, let's begin, because I asked what you thought the best play was from Week 17, and it was, you know, not a great week in terms of crazy plays. I thought Marvin Mims' catch was probably the best play, but it ended up going to a Monroe's lateral touchdown to Jameson Williams, and I don't know, I feel like I gotta say the Monday games are always going to be a little bit more biased, but still, crazy. We have seen it before. And then I asked what the worst play was from Week 17, and it went to Kenny Pickett's whole 360 throw thing, which I kind of forgot about, but I've got to put it in the end. People reminded me, so it's just, I don't know what he was doing either. And then I asked what the best game was from Week 17, and it went to Broncos versus Bengals, which was great, but 3.5 quarters were kind of mid. Still, though, great ending, and dude, the Bengals have like 3 of the top 7 games this season. They're fun. And then I asked who the best player was from Week 17, and it went to Joe Burrow. I mean, the dude is just putting the team on his back like we've never seen before, and Maybe he'll get an MVP. Who knows? And then I asked who the worst player was from Week 17. And I could have put a lot more guys on here, honestly, but Aaron Rodgers, he's back. I actually don't know if he's won one of these before, but boy, was he bad on Sunday, and he deserves this. And then I asked who the best team was from Week 17, and it went to the Vikings, who almost choked it, but they didn't choke it, and ended up getting a massive win versus the Packers, who hopefully will have more respect. And then I asked who the worst team was from Week 17, and I once again forgot just more teams. I'm sorry. I don't know what was wrong with my brain this week, but still, this was going to go to the Bears anyways. It's not even fair anymore to do these categories sometimes. The Bears are... I don't have words anymore. And then I asked what the best vine is of all time. Out of all the vines from this great golden era, they all went to battle. But it went to the only one it could have gone to. I mean, come on now. This is just an all-timer. But anyways, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel just like this one. And if you did like this video, then watch this video I did a few weeks ago on the Cincinnati Bengals. It took me a fat minute to get monetized, so I could use all the views I could get. Please, it's pretty good, trust me. And thanks to all my Patrons for pledging $1. It truly does mean a lot. But anyways, until next time.